got some people on the telephone to talk to. Let's go ahead and do that. That's what the show's all about, is you callers out there. Hello, Roger. It says here that you feel that the president should not have gone to France. Is that correct, sir?
That's right. I'm glad he didn't go. And
what's your reasoning? I want to hear your reasoning on that.
Well, I thought as you did that America should be part of this march. But after learning a little more, let me just tell you a couple things you might not realize. First of all, this French humor magazine, it's not a conservative magazine.
Most humor magazines aren't conservative. The old National Lampoon wasn't, but they threw rocks in every direction.
Well, not every direction though. They're pro-immigration. They're not against. They're not really taking a stand against Islamic immigration or any of those things at all. It's left-wing pro-immigration magazine.
Okay, well, look, their politics is their business. Remember, the heart of free speech is the phrase, "I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." So, frankly, in my view, you're saying, well, I don't really feel comfortable with the political bent of this particular magazine. That's absolutely irrelevant, sir.
Well, let me tell you why it's relevant, because the French here don't really believe in free speech. They had this big march, and you know who they banned from the march? They have a political party over there that believes in restricting immigration, and the representatives of that party were not allowed to participate in the march.
Now this is a different point. Now here you've raised something that I think is very important. The idea that, and I had heard about this, the idea that the National Front, which is a party that has commanded significant support from people in French elections, would be disinvited. Well, I can't see any justification for that, really. They're not politically correct, I guess, is what you might say. But obviously, political correctness is what this is all about. So far as the Muslim extremists were concerned, Charlie Hebdo was not politically correct. They had cartoons that they didn't like, so they went in and killed everybody. That is obviously a much more extreme solution than disinviting someone to a demonstration. But the precedent is very similar, isn't it?
Well, that's right. And if they really believed in free speech, then they should have these. People should have the free speech to say that Muslim immigration is bad for the country. Whereas, in fact, France and most of Europe have these hate speech laws where it is actually can be a criminal offense to simply say that Muslim immigration is bad for the country. And as long as that's what their idea of free speech is, I don't think Obama or any of us should have any part of it. If they want to make a free speech statement, that's fine, that's great. But they're not believers in free speech.
Roger, you have succeeded in doing something that I didn't think you could do. You have constructed a really good argument here. Are you still there?
Well, we've had terrorist events against the United States, and I don't remember French and Europeans coming over here and marching in our streets about it.
No, this is one of the things that I pointed out yesterday is that there have been plenty of other terrorist incidents, some that involved a lot of people getting killed. The London Underground explosion, what went on in Spain a few years ago, in Bali there was a terrible incident where I think a few hundred people were killed, and of course 9/11 here. But none of these incidents have led to this kind of a public and in almost really international expression of solidarity against Islamic terrorism. Frankly, I think that's very valuable in itself. I accept the point you made. I think that when you point out the hypocrisy of people who, say on the one hand, I'm defending free speech and on the other hand, shut it down. Again, you raised a good point, one that, frankly, I hadn't thought of, and my hat's off to you. But in this in this particular instance, I would put it to you that there is a greater cause here. After all, the National Front isn't assassinating anybody. It's Islamic terrorists who are doing that. And to the extent that we can raise international awareness and build international solidarity against Islamic terror, I think that has value in itself. What do you say?
Okay, well, let me make one more point. Obama's the guy who a couple of years ago, remember, we had there was a little controversy about some little YouTube video, which seemed kind of insignificant to me, but somehow a big deal was made out of it. It was kind of incoherent video if you actually watched it.
I did.
But Obama went to the United Nations, and in a prepared speech to the United Nations, in connection with that, he said, and let me quote, he said, "The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet of Islam."
I remember that. I remember that. And,
okay.
You know, if you'll recall, I have not been approving in my language toward Mr. Obama and his conduct on this whatsoever. You just pointed out another example of where he spoke, I think, very ill-advisedly, to say the least. And what was Charlie Hebdo doing other than making fun of, he used the word slander, lampoon, I think is the word that is more accurate. But Mr. Obama could very easily have said the same thing. The future does not belong to those who lampoon or make fun of the prophet. Well, I'm sorry, but we have the right to make fun of whom we damn well please. And if you don't like it, you have the right not to buy the magazine.
Well, I agree with you, but I think this puts Obama squarely on the wrong side of this issue.
It's hard to argue with that. Again, you've presented an argument that I didn't think you could present. It hadn't occurred to me, and now that I hear it, I find myself nodding my head.
So really, I'm glad Obama didn't go march with those million people when it would just be a publicity event for him, whereas in fact his record is that he's on the wrong side of the issue.
So I guess I kind of got it right yesterday when I said what I think we have here is an example of where Mr. Obama's heart and mind really lie.
Well, yeah, I think that's right. That's right.
And you've just taken that same argument one step further and said, okay, well, in that case, maybe it's a damn good thing he didn't go.
Well, that's right. I agree with that.
Roger, my hat is off to you. Nice job, buddy.
All right. Well, I'll let your other callers get in.
I don't know.
Thanks for letting me make my point.
One of the best I've heard. Thank you for the call. When somebody calls up and just uses logic and facts the way you have to construct an argument that's just plain damn airtight, buddy, you hit it out of the park.
Okay, thanks.
I look forward to your next call. Thanks very much. I had a trap all laid. Set up there. Obama shouldn't have gone to France. I was thinking, how can you possibly make that case? Even the president, through his spokesman, his Charlie McCarthy guy, is now saying that this was a mistake. And so even if even he is now saying, I thought it was going to be somebody who was going to defend him and say, oh, well, no. Instead, what Roger did was build a construction of argument that makes it not only clear why the president didn't go, but also absolutely justifies him not going after all. To do so for him, given the way he feels about these issues, would have been an act of hypocrisy. His presence would have devalued the demonstration that took place. Roger, nice going, buddy.